Hey everyone, Ernie Svensson here, and welcome to this presentation on using the Amazon Kindle Highlights to be more productive and also to make your life easier. But let's talk a little bit about the Amazon Kindle. So Amazon released the Kindle. It's the first e-reader it created in November of 2007, and it sold for $399, and it sold out in 5.5 hours. So it was obviously quite popular then, and it's gone on to become even more popular. It is probably the most popular ebook reader. And as of this year, Amazon has over 6 million ebooks available in its Kindle store. And pretty much any modern or semi-modern book, therefore, is available on the Kindle. And when I say available on the Kindle, I don't mean just on the Amazon Kindle device, because since it first came out in 2007, there are now a lot more options for viewing the ebooks that you buy from Amazon. So in 2010, Amazon released the Amazon Kindle app, which appeared on PCs, Apple computers, iPhones, and Android phones. And then it's also become available on iPads and tablets. So now you don't even need to buy a Kindle device to consume the ebooks that you would buy from Amazon. Now, while many people who read their Kindle device or in the Kindle app simply read, which is fine, especially if you're just talking about reading fiction for pleasure, but if you're reading nonfiction books to learn something, then using the highlighting feature makes sense. And it's really incredible. And that's why I use it all the time when I read nonfiction books. Now, sometimes I prefer to read physical books, the nonfiction books in a physical format. And I'll make highlighting the old-fashioned way by underlining and so forth, or tabbing pages. But generally speaking, if I think I want to use the highlights, I'm going to buy the book as a Kindle book, because there are advantages to highlighting in a Kindle, which I will now show you. So all of the highlighting that you've ever done in your Kindle device or your Kindle app will be saved to this page inside of your Amazon account. This page is called the Notes and Highlights page, and you have to log in to access it. So it's not a page that the public can access, only you can see it. But if you visit that page, you'll see something like this. This is my Amazon Notes and Highlights page, and it displays the books that I've highlighted in reverse order of most recently highlighted at the top, and then the next one I highlighted after, before that one, below that one, and so forth. So this is the area where the highlights and notes appear for the most recent book that you read. If you want to see the notes for other books that appear, you just click on the book you want to see highlights for, and they will appear. Now, there are a lot of ways to access your highlights besides using the special Amazon webpage. There are third-party apps that you can get for your phone or your tablet that let you access your notes, and theoretically, some of them will stay synced with your Amazon notes automatically. In my experience, that has not worked continually. You have to keep logging in because Amazon doesn't want to make it too easy for people to access your account. So they throw up that barrier, but that's a barrier that makes sense. So if you're logged in, you can quickly access it or synchronize it. And so that makes it really easy to access all of your Amazon notes from your smartphone or tablet, or even on your computer, because there are computer apps. Michael Hyatt, whom I know you probably have heard me rave about as somebody who is super productive and good at explaining how to be more productive, uses the Kindle and also uses Evernote, and he pushes his Kindle notes into Evernote, and he wrote a blog post about this a long time ago. I read it, found it helpful, and so that approach is the one I use to push most of my Kindle notes into the Evernote. Maybe all of them, I guess, because I bought an app that's available on the Mac that lets it happen automatically. And I find this really useful because it makes it a lot easier to search and find things really quickly inside of Evernote. You can also send Kindle highlights to your email address, which might be useful. I don't use this feature, and I can't imagine why I would, because I get everything I need out of using Evernote. But if I didn't have Evernote, maybe I would come up with a reason for this, and maybe you would. But that's one option. There are also browser plugins like this one, which is called Booksision, that you install in your Chrome or Safari, and then drag it up to your bookmarks bar. And then when you're visiting the Amazon Highlights and Notes page, it easily lets you copy and easily and quickly lets you copy your Kindle notes, and then from there you can download them into a text file and do what you want. So as I showed you earlier, I've been reading the book called The Power of a System. I've read it many times, but I wanted to read it again and pull out some key ideas. But instead of having to go pull the book just to reread it, I went to my Kindle Highlights to see what I was interested in and see if I could find it more quickly that way. All right. So the book is available only in two formats. There's a hardcover version, which as you can see is quite pricey. So if you don't have this book, I recommend you get it, and I recommend that you get the Kindle version. I've had the physical version. I don't have it right now. I gave away my copy, but I like having the physical version so I can flip through. But when it's a book like this one, where I want to go through it and designate the things I think are most important by highlighting, it's much easier for me to find that information later if I use the method that I talked about. So this book is one that will help you understand how to create systems for your law practice. And you've probably heard me rave about this book before. And what led me to the idea of doing this presentation on Amazon Kindle Highlights is I was talking to somebody in the group who was saying that they wanted to start creating systems and that they wanted to get a copy of this book. And I told them that they could definitely ask John Fisher to send them a hard copy. He often is gracious enough to do that. But I recommended that they get the Kindle book first and highlight inside of it with the idea of saying, we're going to try to understand how to create our own systems, but read the book and highlight thinking this is a passage that matters to me, this is a passage that matters to me, and so forth. Because if now you understand what you can do with this is you can pull out that information and put it into Evernote or put it into a Word document and then use that kind of as the foundation to start creating your own systems. So you see where this is going? All right, so let me show you how this will work. And to do this, I want to demonstrate the process of how the highlighting and capturing works. So we're going to go into live demo mode, so hang on a second. All right, so let me pull up one other thing, my Kindle app. So in the Mac, and presumably also on PC, there are applications you can use to access your Kindle notes. So here is my library. I have a lot of stuff in here. If I click on this book, it pulls it up. And then as I'm reading, let's say, so one of the things that he talks about is KPIs for success. And he references the book, The E-Myth, which I've talked about before, and I've talked about, the KPIs in there. So he says for his practice, which is a litigation practice, there are 4 metrics that he says you should use. You can now see my phone, and I'm going to open the Kindle app, click on it, pull it up. Okay, so we're going to go to that page where we were, and then I'm going to highlight this portion just so you can see. So when I highlight from that part to the 4 categories on my phone, and at this point, I'm going to stop mirroring, and it should synchronize, and we'll see. Yeah, so see down here, so it's got this latest highlighting in there. So that's in there. Now, because I use Evernote, the way I would capture this in Evernote is I would use the browser plugin in Chrome that says Clip to Evernote, and I would hit Clip to Evernote, and then you can pick article or simplified article, which is obviously not going to work. Full page could work. Bookmark could work. Article is probably what I want. So I'll just say save. It's going to clip all this. And it's going to appear in my Evernote. But the other options you have are you could use that Bookscision plugin, and then you'd go up and click on the Bookscision thing, and then it would select the text just in the area where you're seeing the highlights. And then from there, you could save it out as a text file or something like that. So the point I'm making is that when you have, and I'll just switch over to Evernote now. So while we're waiting, we can just see Evernote. So in Evernote, that other book that you were looking at, the one about Never Split the Difference, which is about negotiation, these are these are the highlights for that book. So what's great is in Evernote, let me, okay, so as you can see, I'm trying to make the view, let's get rid of hide the sidebar. Okay, so as you can see, it's a lot easier to read. All of this, I could copy it all. I could, click in here, hit copy all, copy, go over to a text editor like this one, and say create new document, and then I'd hit paste. And then all of those notes will be in here. So my point is, if you were to read John Fisher's book and be reading it thinking, oh, I want to use some of this, but instead of having to have the book next to me and say, okay, I want to do something like this, I want to do something like this, if you just read the book thinking, I'm going to export my highlights into a Word document that I'm then going to use to help me figure out what I want to use. So if he says the success metrics for his litigation practice are these 4 things, and you say, well, those aren't those same ones for me, I want different ones, and you would create different ones. So you can kind of use a book in Amazon to construct your own framework if you want to. That's taking it to an extreme. You wouldn't obviously be doing this with a lot of books, but the book, The Power of a System, is one of those books that I think you might want to do that with. Now, some books, and I'm pretty sure Power of a System is not one, there's a limit to how much you can highlight. Like you hit a limit where after that point, you can see the highlights if you're reading and you're on the Amazon page, but you can't export them. Obviously, to keep people from highlighting the whole book and exporting it out. But surprisingly, not that many books have that limitation. The author has to purposefully decide that they don't want to let people to have too many highlights. So I've run across it with some books, and I just don't worry about it. I just keep highlighting. But if you were going to tackle this with John Fisher's book, obviously you want to be able to highlight as much as you can, but you do have to be aware. You don't want to go hog wild. Really, all you're trying to do, to make your life easier, is highlight those things that are really going to help you get started. So I think you can see now that Amazon Kindle highlights are very powerful. And while some of you, like me, may prefer in some instances to have the physical book and to be able to flip around easily and underline in the physical book, if you think that you're going to possibly use the highlights to copy and paste or to take sections out or to quickly look at, putting them in Evernote or accessing them outside of the Amazon highlights page can be very useful. And if you know that end in mind is useful to you, then this makes a lot more sense, hopefully. So that is kind of the overview, and I think that pretty much does it. If you have any questions, let me know. I will put links below the lesson so that you can find the Michael Hyatt article and also get to that webpage, because it's actually kind of hard to find. I used to have it bookmarked, or I had it bookmarked, and it was an old page, and then they changed where the page is, and that page doesn't work. And I was looking for it in Amazon, and I couldn't find it very easily. So I know you might have trouble, but this is the URL if you want to copy it down. It's just read.amazon.com/notebook. But you have to be logged into your Amazon account to access it. All right, that does it. Thanks very much. And that wraps it up. See you in the next lesson.